Oh my demons of the netherworld! How does one even begin to review this game? The Disgaea series has gotten a bit of a bad rep for being a series dedicated to the unemployed. The level cap in this tactical RPG sits at 9,999, but even that understates its magnitude. The ultimate character must be repetitiously leveled into the high thousands, reset back to zero through reincarnation, and then re-leveled, all for a few simple stat bonuses that will make math nerds everywhere simultaneously shit their pants. Is Disgaea really a game purely for the obsessed, though? Sometimes people tend to forget that there's an entire 25-hour storyline that wraps itself up quite nicely. The eternal endgame is merely a treat for the grace of fans and hardly the main focus. What it proves, though, is that Disgaea keeps everyone in mind as it aims in many different directions. It's up to the player to determine how much length they want to get out of this game. The original Disgaea was exceptionally high grade. Hardly everyone's cup of tea, as it's really no Halo or Madden, but regardless, it was a game so powerful that it actually changed Sony US's approval policy, a policy that once rejected all 2D gaming. Did you know that the only reason we got Mega Man 8 here in the States was because Capcom threatened to withhold a Resident Evil release? That Namco was denied releasing a translated version of Tales of Destiny 2 over on the PlayStation 2? But then, somehow, Atlas pulled off a miracle and managed to release Disgaea on the PS2, which set the wheels in motion for more great 2D games. Now, games like Heavenly Guardian and Arcana Hearts, titles no one has ever heard of, happily trickle out while Sony sits back and chills. What I'm trying to say is this. This is the amount of prestige a Disgaea title carries. It's been getting even less talk than failed killer apps like Haze or Lair, but to its fans, it's golden. Disgaea is basically Final Fantasy Tactics pumped with steroids and then injected with all the sugar there is in the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. The third title in the series continues the tradition of being exactly like the last, plus a little bit more. The felony system is thankfully out, stat boosts are determined by your seating in a classroom, and there's a new thing called Class World where you can level up other various character stats. Of course, the unending item world is back too, packed to infinity with randomized maps and many delicious pirate attacks. Maps are a little bigger, there are more colors on screen, less loading time, more voice acting, and the text is more easily readable. Despite looking like a PlayStation 2 game at first glance, as a PlayStation 3 owner, I'm very glad that the game hit here. I wouldn't like to give up on the many subtle improvements now that I've gotten used to them. Disgaea is chess for the anime fan. The feature list is enormous, and not even the instruction manual could manage to barrel through them all. I will state though that there is always something to do. I repeatedly bounce my attention back and forth between focusing on the main storyline and then making my way through many of the item worlds for stat bonuses and to level. Depending on your approach, it won't necessarily feel like mindless grinding. As I enjoy the gameplay system and the random chaotic feeling of the item world maps, I was having a lot of fun. While the endgame does eventually boil down into tedium, as long as you go into this intending to have fun, you shouldn't be feeling any such negativity during your story playthrough. The only thing I had trouble stomaching with this game were the cutscenes and story sequences. They walk a very fine line between self-referential comedy and just retarded over-the-top childish nonsense plus a few swear words. While the voice acting is spectacular and overall I did like the characters, I had to constantly convince myself that it was truly the former in order to keep myself from going insane. While I did enjoy Disgaea 1's story a whole lot more, really, Disgaea 3 is still a lot more amusing than most generic shit. Disgaea 3 contains everything you could ever want in this sort of tactical RPG experience. It's a big screw you to the Nintendo approach of bringing gamers together, and for that I'm glad. Disgaea 3 isn't the kind of game you'd be itching to show your significant other, but it will keep your eyes glued to the screen and your ass plastered into the couch much later into the night than you could ever wish to admit. This is the game that'll make you tired for school or work. With all there is to continuously do, Disgaea 3 is like crack. I give Disgaea 3 Absence of Justice for the PlayStation 3 an 8 out of 10.